And what they never get credit for is that they are the reason for the new medicine that we take today. My blood pressure, your Lipitor, or whatever it is. It is because of them and the experiments that they did. Electroshock therapy. There's a picture of Henrietta Lack's daughter. I have a friend named Paul Lurs who worked there for 40 years, and they portray him in the movie. Because Henrietta Lack's daughter said, I had a sister that died here. Can you tell me anything about her? And Paul went in the back, and the file was still there. To this day, he regrets opening that file and letting that sister see her sister with the burn marks on her head from electroshock therapy, hair all over the ear, crying, body fluids. Her sister didn't live for 2 more years after that, and my friend blames himself on her heart attack. It was going to happen anyway, but his point was, I should have never shared that because the horrors of the mental hospital was such that people would jump to the death to leave, or you would be in a coma-like state for medicine. But you got to remember, they are the reason for the medicine we have. Look at Henrietta Lacks. Without her, there would have been no polio vaccine. How many people know a black woman is being put in their vein? She is the reason we have the polio vaccine, and her cells are still manufacturing and can wrap around the earth 3 times. Henrietta Lacks. So I had a chance to meet her family because they wanted to come up and see where her daughter had died. So yeah, really bad time. Take for example, if there are riots going on and you get arrested. There was a riot maybe in Hagerstown somewhere, and this was freedom rides. I guess this is the late 60s, and people were boycotting and riding buses. So all these people got arrested, and they wouldn't talk to the police. So guess where the police took them? Crownsville. They locked them up in Crownsville. They said, hey, if they don't want to talk to us, then we'll just put them in here with the rest of the crazy people. This is the hard part for me. Once I realized that there's 1,600 people up there, I don't know it's that many at first, I want to know who they are. So I had all these volunteers, and we would go to the Maryland State Archives on a Saturday. And actually, at that particular time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and the archives were open on Mondays just for us. It wasn't open to the general public. This is what we had to do. We had to go to the death records, Anne Arundel County. We know hospital started in 1910. So you look at Anne Arundel County, and they have 12 months. You got to look through the whole month of January. So we start in 1910, and we find the first burial in 1911. Now, I want you to hear this. If you died at Crownsville, there were 3 ways you would leave. Number 1, your family comes to get you, and they take you back home. Okay? Number 2, like this one, William Brown. See that alias Oliver Bell? What do you think that other name is? His slave name. You know, he was born in the 1830s. So when he got free from slavery, he changed his name to William Brown. Oh, that's interesting. William Brown. How was I going to get that? He died at Crownsville. It says here, we don't know where he was from. Oh, we know he was from Montgomery County. And then it says, right here on the death certificate, place of burial or removal, hospital cemetery. Here, this thing right here. Okay? That means he's on Macon Ridge. What's the 3rd way that you got? Does anybody know?
Cremation, medical store.
The 3rd way. So I'm doing this research. I'm feeling real good about myself. I'm like, boy, we're really getting through this. Look at all these people. And my phone rings. Is this Janice Gates Williams? Yes. Hi, I'm so-and-so from Johns Hopkins. Oh, really? We understand. So my research is becoming very public. And they're putting my name against the Secretary of Mental Health, you know what I mean, in the newspaper. It's not that we're arguing, but this is what's happening. So Johns Hopkins calls me and they said, we know you're doing this research, and we know you're going to get to this part, so we're calling you now to explain it to you. What is this part? This part, 1939, the Maryland Autopsy Board is formed. Okay? Burials at Crownsville are going this way because if there's no family, there's a place where you can be buried with dignity even though there's no name on your grave. The Lunacy Board starts in 1939. Burials go this way and removals to the University of Maryland Medical School go this way. And they caught me right as I was there because they wanted to explain it to me like it was going to make a difference. They want to explain it to me nicely. Mr. Winterrow, you see, is the undertaker. He is the superintendent of Crownsville State Hospital. He also has the same credentials as a coroner. So when the autopsy board starts, if you're a doctor and you're in a mental hospital, you're a coroner and you have a right to dispose of a body. The body's going to the University of Maryland. The number is unbelievable. This goes back to the Henrietta Lacks Turner Station, people saying, look out for the night doctor. You're poor, you're homeless, you better hide somewhere because if you see one of those doctors from Johns Hopkins, they're gonna take you. So the University of Maryland students are using the bodies from Crownsville State Hospital to get their degree. That's a gravestone, 940 something. This is what you see when you go to Bacon Ridge. So my love for this cemetery and my love to make sure these people are not forgotten. Every year I go to the cemetery and do a ceremony, and I would love for you to join me. It's called Say My Name. The Scenic Rivers Land Trust, who is responsible for talking people into leaving their property as a legacy, not to build on, to use the whole purpose of Bacon Ridge having 1,000 acres. It started with 40 acres. John Leopold bought the first 40 acres once he realized the cemetery was here. And now, through other county executives, it's up to 1,000 passing use, okay? So Scenic Rivers Land Trust, they do a program once a year. It's called Walk in the Woods. If you haven't been, you need to go. This is the most beautiful piece of property in Anne Arundel County. It's up high. The air is clean. The first time I saw a beaver dam, it was on this property. They have bird walks. You can take hikes over this property. They're guided because you do not want to walk around there. I've had a friend that got lost. They had to set out and search a group because they didn't want to stay with the group. So my ceremony is always at noon, and the cemetery is right in front of you. It's up on a hill, and everybody comes and we gather on this hill. I have a basket of rose petals. I have a basket of all those names that we research. You pull out a name, take a handful of roses, and my best girlfriend made up a song. I should have brought her here so she could sing it to you, but it starts out, it says, does anybody know that I am here? Does anybody know that I lived and now that I'm here? And she goes around the circle and she says, say my name, and then we go around and we say, William Brown, you know, Sarah Fletcher, whatever, but it's a way to remember that they lived. And they gave to us, they gave us their service, their bodies to use for us. So we do this every year. This year, I have the date already. It's April 27th. It's on a Saturday. 7 a.m. The bird walks. It doesn't cost anything. You also get a chance to drive through the hospital campus and be disgusted, and hopefully you will all write letters to Larry Hogan and say, Governor, do something. You get to ride through, you cross over 97, and there you are on Bacon Ridge.
Do you access this by going into the grounds?
You have to Marbury Road, right past the administration building. We have little signs there, and it's right off of Crownsville Road. We gather here. There's a cross that was put there in the 50s. That's where we gather. It's still there. We do this again once a year. John Leopold and Delegate Sandy Rosenberg in 2004, when the hospital was closing, my concern was, how do I get in there? If the hospital is closed, how do I get into the cemetery? How do people gonna find out they have family members in it? I could never put a name to a number. I could never put a name to 1041, but we know that they're there. How do we get in? So they wrote a bill. Sandy Rosenberg was sponsored by all these people. They wrote a bill, but I still couldn't get in. So I had to pick on Ed Riley. About 6 months ago, we called him Big Ed. Janice, hi Ed. I got your key. To the cemetery? Yes, you can go in whenever you want. I said, thank you, Ed. It's my cemetery now. John Leopold put a small commemorative monument. The right of entry has not been solidified yet because there are spray fields that spray off of the sewer system. Yeah, look, it's right. And because of that, that right of entry has not been fully solidified, but we're on our way. I'm still working on it. So that is up. That's my girlfriend on the end singing her song, Does Anybody Know I Am Here? Say my name. You can see the cross in the back. So our numbers are growing. I mean, you know, we started out with a few people, then people heard here we had Alexa's daughter was there, and then people said, hey, let's get out and go for a hike. We have large numbers. We have hundreds of people that come to Bacon Ridge and take a moment. If they don't make it to the cemetery, the basket is there, the names are there. Just walk up and say their name. Thank them for their service. Do you see this? These are young kids who just come up from time to time, so we can expose the stones. They were once sitting upright, but they're all laying down because it was hard for the state to cut the grass. So we know where they are. But I want a wall. I want you all to hear this first. I'm going to get a wall. Did you hear that? With everybody's name on. Do you know who wants to buy me that wall right now? The Bayhawks. Discovery. We do a Governor's Day of Service. You know, kids learn their history. And this is what we do before we leave, when we have our day of service, and we give thanks. This is a day we had with the Church of the Latter-day Saints that brought all their youth out. So if you do nothing else, come and see it. But this is a story. It's Black History Month, and we shouldn't have a Black History Month. This history needs to be told all the time. But it's taken, in the last 20 years, we've come from me being here with my little girl who's 10 years old asking a curator, were any Black people here? To 2019, opening the story. Take a look at this quote before you go, because this is the almshouse. This is before we went to Crownsville. This was when we were still in the backwoods and we were treated anyway, and nobody would know about it. So again, this was about being removed from the hospital. And guess what? We found the last burial in 1965. That's when the hospital segregated. And do you know that there's a local undertaker here that buried my mother and my father that was still taking bodies to the University of Maryland. It was a contract. And you went there if you didn't have family. Now, if you had family, they come and get you. But many of these people had no family, service members, and something else I didn't mention. I'm finished, I guess. One of the things I didn't mention, experiments. At the same time the syphilis experiments are going on as Tuskegee, guess what? My data and research is so thorough that I can line that timeline up and show the numbers of African American men that are dying of syphilis. So they scribble these cause of death. I can't read that, I don't know that. And so I called my doctor and I said, is it possible I can bring some death certificates down so you can look at it? So I took a whole stack. Fourth and final stage of syphilis. Fourth and final stage of syphilis. So experiments going on there too? I can't say it for sure, but the timing is exactly the same. The syphilis, the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. Yes. So what I'm saying to you is that at the same time the Tuskegee experiments were going on, I can line death certificates up at Crownsville with large numbers of black men dying in the fourth and final stage of syphilis. They're large numbers. It's too large to be coincidence.
I'm not familiar with that. Can you mention a little bit more about it?
Yeah, have you never heard of the Tuskegee experiment? So in Tuskegee, they called men in to experiment on this supposedly syphilis drug, but they were injecting them with syphilis. And they were carriers, and they watched to see how they handled this drug till they died. They could have stopped it, but they didn't. But it was an experiment to see how the body would handle the syphilis this virus disease, yes.
Lab rats.
Yes, they were used as lab rats. So if they did it there, they did it in a private hospital. There is a documentary out you might want to watch. It was done by a gentleman that I know called From Lunacy to Legacy. It's a little cold about the Crownsville piece, but he's interviewing people who worked there to tell you what was going on, the experiments, the suicides, the this and the that. And that's a documentary you all probably can see right now. I don't know, Kyle, maybe we can figure out how to get this information to this group. It's a gentleman, there's a Facebook page, and there's a page where Crownsville former patients, former employees, and it's there. He's been going to film festivals, he's been winning awards, but it's all the people who used to work there. He interviewed me, and it turned from my love to the people who died to the clinical thing, and I burst into a hot flash right on the film. I told him, cut. Because it's hard. It's hard. So his piece is hard. When my piece gets done, it's going to be a little bit more of a loving, personal, trying to know some of these people. So just one quick story. About 8 months ago, I got a call from a woman from Alabama who was working with the lynching memorial. And so I don't know if you all heard about this in Montgomery, Alabama. They have this whole new lynching museum, and the memorial has every county, Anne Arundel County has theirs, the people that were lynched in counties all over the country. So this woman called me because there were two brothers, and the names kept getting mixed up in the newspaper. One was lynched, one got away, and she tracked him to Crownsville. And guess what? He was a basket maker. Around the same time as that Marion Warren picture, what are the chances that he was one of them? But because of, people call me and ask me questions, oh, are you Miss Janice? My great-grandmother went to a nursing home called Crownsville. I said, what the nursing Holy Spirit. You wanna know more about it? So I do look for names, and eventually one day when I'm not working full-time, I'm gonna get this book together because I have all the names in them. And it's time for that to be shared.
You can name it from lunacy.
From lunacy to legacy, and his name is Richard Todd Stevens. Yes.
I know that much is on Crownsville, but I do know this was the Paul's house, or black people died. They were buried in the woods. As far as I know, they didn't mark the very small, so we don't know where they are. I think you go far about like the 90s and you know what's going on there.
I know. All I know is they're somewhere and nobody's discovered it.
But they never was stone.
There's one marker down in the woods.
Yeah, they was told there was one.
Yeah, the last interment has a marker, that's it. We do have a vague idea of where the interments were. If you go down the winter walk and you're walking north, so you're walking toward the river, the African American interments are on your left-hand side. The white interments are on your right-hand side, and they're all in the flower beds, or under the flower beds.
Do you know what years that they would have been?
The last one would have been 65. So when they start, that one, I'm not sure about.
We've done a little bit of research on that. I can take a couple minutes and find out.
Okay, that'd be nice to know, because 1832 is when this became an alms house. So, and of course, you know, there are no records until the late 1800s, unless there was a state. Because those are the people who have to write their little report back to the Lunacy Commission to tell them what's going on.
Did you imply that there were more or less complete records from Brownsville?
So the records that were, when the hospital was closed, records were taken to the Maryland State Archives. My friend Paul Lurs, who was there for 40 years, went with them to help them categorize. Once it was done, we were all locked out. No more review unless you're a doctor or a medical student. You cannot get access to those records. Please don't tell them that I'm looking at the Lunacy Commission records, okay? Because I don't want them to lock those up. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned you want Governor Hogan to do something about Brownsville. What would you like him to do?
So, that's the last part of our talk. So, you know, I am now working for the new county executive, Stuart Pittman, who's from South County. And guess what? He's already told Larry Hogan he wants it.
He wants
Brownsville State Hospital.
What's the county do?
Give it back to the county.
What would the county do?
So we have a bunch of ideas. We have ideas for make it the center of health, hope, and healing that is already there. There now, we have Godenzi, who is a drug rehabilitation company. There's over 100 beds there. I call them when I do cleanup of the cemetery and say, hey, do the guys want to get out and get some clean air? And they come and help, and they love it. They're outside. You have the food, Anne Arundel County Food Bank is there. You have a computer group there. You also have the Hope House, drug rehabilitation. You have, there's a woman's place there called
Sarah, the Chrysalis House.
The Chrysalis House is there. So if we're already a place of hope and healing, drug rehabilitation, maybe it's a great place for tiny houses for homeless people. If you're not going to do anything with the government, but let it be an eyesore for the people who live in that community, because we sure don't think we need a stadium for lacrosse. If you go to the Bayhawks website, my wall is on there. The website shows the stadium. The state is considering putting a roundabout on 97. So when you go up 97 at Farm Road, that's the road that you see. If somebody purchased the hospital ground, you would come off on this roundabout, go around, and come out on Crownsville Road. You wouldn't have to come all the way from 97 down into General's Highway. The roundabout will also lead you over to the cemetery. cemetery, so the Bayhawks thought it would be nice to put it in their plans, that there's a wall, that there's a say my name wall. So people call me all the time, they say, Janice, are the Bayhawks courting you? I said, yes, they are. Somebody's gonna build a wall.
What would you do with the buildings that are there? I mean, they can build asbestos.
Well, some of the buildings can be mitigated. For example, Gaudenzia went in the building that was used by Second Genesis, it's the old morgue. They did their own abatement. They went in and took the asbestos off of the pipes, and they did the clearing themselves. Some of the buildings that are falling down, they just need to go because shamefully and sad, it is very sad to know that most of the buildings have not been put on the historic register. All the paperwork was done, but it was never put through so you could put something that says this is a historic site. So they can go. They need to go down. But some of those buildings are still in use. There's a chapel there. You know, we've had people who go up and look at the chapel. And also our new county executive thinks that it might be a place that will be a good start for nonprofits. You got a 501c3, you got a great business. You don't have the money to rent a big building, so guess how much Gaudenzia pays the governor a year? $1. If you're on that property now, all you're paying is $1. So there's all manner of things that can be done, and the last piece would be the irrigation system. As I mentioned, Crownsville State Hospital was self-sufficient. They had their own irrigation system too. And the only people enjoying that right now are a couple of the buildings that are still there. There's something called Community Place, where the state buildings are around the corner. That water comes from the Crownsville irrigation system. There's a Fairfield senior nursing home. There's a school. And the place that somebody just named for me that went out of my mind already.
Chrysalis House?
Chrysalis House. They are all using that irrigation system. So whatever happens, a new system is going to have to be put in. Is the county going to run water up there? That's a question that we're not ready to answer yet. But the county executive is this close to negotiating with Governor Hogan to get this property. Because if you don't want to respect us, let us respect ourselves and lift it up. It's time for it. It needs to be a place that people can go, have services, not get chased off to be arrested because you're on state property. And you know it costs $1 million a year to cut the grass. $1 million a year to cut the grass. And so Anne Arundel County already takes care of the cemetery. When they closed, John Leopold wanted an agreement with the state so he could have some feelers in that Bacon Ridge, and he said, guess what? You all don't have to worry about taking care of Bacon Ridge. My Department of Recreation and Parks will cut the grass. So that's how I get in there all the time. I call Recreation and Parks. And I go up there to the cemetery today. So we maintain it. You know, I go up there, they did beer bottles and liquor. I can tell them, go clean it up. Yes, sir.
Do we all have numbers?
Yes.
I presume at some point was there documentation of the date. Did they ever, they lost or did they ever?
We don't know. Paul there says he's never seen it. I'm sure it was. Yes, sir.
I did check our records and your request about burials back there. The earliest one we have recorded is 1899. The records are incomplete. There is a chance it could go earlier than that. And a few years ago, the Lost Towns Project did ground penetrating radar back there to try and get an idea of numbers. They found that there were burials on top of other burials, so we still don't know how many people are buried back there.
That's the role of the African Americans coming out of slavery into the 19th century. It was difficult in terms of health. We tried. We had Crownsville State Hospital, Spring Grove, even Johns Hopkins had a building for black children who were orphans, and we get it in the 19th century. So this is a great study for African American history. Todd, thank you all for doing this, giving me an opportunity to talk about a history that is It's rising out of the ground on its own because nobody took the time to do it before. You know, sometimes I felt like a little pest and walking on. You know, it's like when we would come in the door, they were like, oh, here they go. They're gonna ask us about some black stuff. 20 years later, black stuff is everywhere because we live together. I'm born and raised in a city that never had slave quarters. It's called Annapolis, where you cohabitate, you copulate. And we had all manner of children together. There's more black Irish in the city of Annapolis than you can shake a stick at. Okay? Everybody lived in the same house. When Charles Carrollton came, he brought 13 of his best, the Irish men, the Irish women, you know, whoever made it with whoever, that's what happened, and that's who we are. And all of our stories deserve to be told. So this is a very good time. I'm glad to have been born into it, to be a part of it, because these stories are very important. I'm just mind-boggling to see this book today, and I kept my lecture a surprise, and I was surprised by this.
This was these were the white patients, and these are the black patients. I read this thing, it explains when the kids made these quilts, they were showing the difference between the white patients.
Our common thread. So before you all leave there, please take a look at this, because this is just simply beautiful. This is how we always told our stories in books. But thank you for having me today. You have some more questions for me before?
What is the name of the book?
Maryland Exposures by Marion Warren. It's a picture book all over the state of Maryland. This one is right smack in the middle. It's just, when you look at this, like, where in the world is it? You look at these faces, you look at the men and women. Now, who are these people? But it was a whole life there. It was a whole life in Brownsville. And we can thank Ronald Reagan for closing our mental institutions, and the task by government and the communities is what to do with them after they're closed. What do we do now? So if you have an idea for school, I think you should tell them now, because we're on our way. We're on our way. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Back to the Hospital. We live near there, and we've always wondered